Hello and welcome to Real Hi-Fi Help. From best to worst sound, this is a story that I got from my hi-fi friend. I suggest that you look through the entire video because this could actually help you quite a bit. My friend figured something out that's actually quite smart. So let me just tell you about this story. It's the guy with the Yamaha equipment, the guy who has this fantastically good streamer that he made. So he basically has, I would say, basically the best system in the world, or one of the best systems in the world. And he totally destroyed that. And then after that, he improved, so it got even better. But I just want to take you guys through this process that he went through, because I think that we all could really learn from what he did. That was a mistake. And this is a very good example of how us hardcore audiophiles, how we usually improve our system. Sometimes we actually go a step or two back in order to go into the right direction with several steps forward later. And let me just share this story with you. So about 4 days ago, he made this smart move. He upgraded some power cables. He went from low quality copper cable to high quality silver. And that seemed logical, because he did notice the last couple of months' time that this type of silver cable just sounded really good on his system. And he had, together with me, developed a sort of a power cable that he knew was just going to beat a lot of the power cables on the market. So smart move. Everything he did was good. He broke in the cable. He put some good plugs on it. He figured out what plugs kind of worked and all of that. And but suddenly, even though all of this stuff that he did should have improved the sound, it actually did the opposite. So let me explain why this is. First of all, you have to know that when you go from copper cables to silver cables, suddenly you get a reaction that is, this is just me guessing, but that is probably like 3 times more compared to copper cables. Silver just is a lot more reactive, where copper generally is more of a safe, suppressed type of sound, that where most people think that it's a warmer type of sound, and it is to some degree. So yeah, when something then goes wrong, it goes really wrong. And on his system being so extreme, he found out that silver cables only sounded good on his system if it were placed directly on the direct audio signal parts, which is, in his system, amp, DAC, and streamer. Those are like directly linked to the sound. Everything else is just, his way of filtering stuff around the stuff that directly affects the sound. So he realized that keeping copper cables on those parts was a good thing, and then making sure that he had those special silver cables on these parts was like the best combination. But it took him a while to kind of figure that out. But the biggest fault that he made was he actually realized that he put one of the cables out of phase, so it didn't match the rest of the cables in his system. And just having one cable out of phase, apparently on his system, totally destroyed it. And he thought perhaps something was wrong, that he destroyed some equipment or so, because he's constantly changing with it. But so this is the lesson to learn. He made a gradual upgrade. And he was patient, trying everything. I mean, everything, every single combination. But he chose not to blame it on the cable. he kept on trying all kinds of all kinds of combinations for several days, and most people won't do that. Most people will give up, and because most people will just want to buy a solution, and then it's like boom, 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 click play, and then that's that. Us hardcore audiophiles that really get to those extreme heights of audiophile heaven, we fight with these things, and then sometimes we actually win. And this is just a fantastic story about how he was able to just fight on and just keep on doing the same thing again and again until he had tried everything that was possible. So you have to understand the world that he comes from. He has like 5 different types of cables and 3 different power plugs and about 15 different places where he could connect all of these things. It could be that it's only about 10, but he has a lot of boxes. And that makes it really difficult to figure out what the hell went wrong. And even when he went back to the older system, it didn't sound the same again. And this is the lesson. When you have a system that is on this level, this extreme level, the sound can go through like 50 different stages because of the cables that he has. It's so reactive. You just would not believe it, how much it can change the sound. Then when he had fixed the sound, then he had to choose the priority that he wanted. Does he want it more aggressive? Does he want it more pleasurable? Does he want a certain type of music effect? What is it that he prefers to listen to? So yeah, it took a while to figure this out. He did solve the problem, and yes, because his gear is not high class enough, it just doesn't react in a really good way when you have the same power cable and plug on everything. For some reason, it doesn't do that on his system. On my system, it does do that, and it sounds really good on my system. But again, you have to figure out for yourself what is best. I usually recommend that you do the thing that almost no one does, which is have the same power cable on every single part of your chain, because usually that makes it more integrated, balanced, and you're not biasing the sound. But some people have to some degree bias the sound, depending on what equipment they have, what level it is, and so on. I cannot give you 100% answer on that. I know I'm being a bit vague, and I don't like doing that, but you have to figure out for yourself what you have to do in that regard. Now his sound is better than ever, and the lesson to learn is that getting a good result is not as black and white as it seems to be. It just isn't. Most people, their brains function like, I'm going to put this here, connected to that, and then I know if the gear is good. They're not going to go through like the 50 steps of diagnosing why it isn't good. Realizing that you could possibly have a thing that's bad quality, not suiting the same language as your system, but still somehow make it work, make it sound good somehow, And I just want to go from that over to my system here, because I had a similar problem. I borrowed a cable from him, a Furutek cable with Furutek plugs, which goes totally against my religion of sound, which is Oyed plugs and audio note cables. Just totally different flow, totally different priority of sound. But again, just want to kind of tell you the moral of the story, and that is that I put this cable at the root of my system to test for like the biggest effect that it could give me. And I did get a big effect. It basically turned my system, which a normal person probably would say is like worth $100,000 or $200,000, and it turned it into a system that only sounded like a $500 system from a flea market, just by using one cable, because my system is highly reactive. And some people would then say, is that then a bad cable or a bad matching cable? And that's the lesson to learn, because a normal person would say that cable is bad or not compatible, but a really good trained audiophile would say it does not necessarily fit, but if you repeat that same cable on all the other links of the system, it could sound good in a very different way than I'm used to. So I did get a sneak peek into the priority, the sound, where it wanted to take me. I realized that I did not like that type of sound, but I realized also that it could get very good in just a very different kind of way. So yeah, just it teaches us that we cannot judge one thing until we've tested it fully. It isn't always as black and white as everything seems. And also a really interesting thing that me and my friend have been talking about the last couple of months is that we have a theory that the more that we test these power boxes and power cables and such, that that it's not really true that all the gear that we have seems to be reducing noise. It seems to be more suppressing it by sending the noise onto another part of the chain, almost like an invisible force, creating a potentially different reaction on another hi-fi component. So for example, moving all of that noise over to an LPSU box that powers a clock or an SPDIF converter or some other box than that, or maybe it's a box that powers his streamer up, so that when we then connected a cable that previously would sound bad, that we know for a fact isn't good, we know it's built badly, we know it's not the same religion as the system we're working on, we just know that's bad, but suddenly when we did that, that would suddenly sound pretty good. So it just kind of makes you wonder that everybody is kind of right in the audio world, you know? You have to kind of find the religion that you believe in of audio gear. You have to try and go in that religion as pure as you can and do that 100% as good as you can. But we know money is going to stop us, so we can't, afford a $1 million solution. So we have to compromise. We have to mix things together with that religion, and we just have to figure out what is the best reaction, mixing this other type of thing with this really good thing that you perhaps have. So just to conclude, a lot of people think that you can just buy one really good speaker or an amplifier or one cable, and then it's just enough to solve all of people's problems, or most of their problems. But it's actually, I would say it's more that rare combination where you're using that together with the same type of stuff on that same level, same quality, same language as the rest of the system. And then you unlock that good sound. Or you have some kind of a mix of things that you discover works. Like, for example, you figure out that MIT cables work really good with B&W speakers, and then if you combine that with a Macintosh amplifier, that suddenly sounds really good. A lot of people actually like that combination. But just using that as an example. So yeah, it just kind of very interesting, very, very interesting indeed. So that's all I have to say in this video, and remember to like and subscribe. Bye.